Good afternoon, parents. A warm welcome to all. I welcome you all on behalf of Forum for Autism. Thank you for joining in and stay tuned till we have many parents getting logged in. Good afternoon, parents. I once again welcome all of you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. And as always, we are there sharing, gathering, learning information from most of the esteemed speakers who have come on screen and shared their knowledge. Thank you for always supporting Forum and being there for all our webinars. So before we start with today's webinar, I would like to briefly take you all through our journey, that is the journey of Forum for Autism. Forum for Autism is an NGO which was started by parents of children with autism some 20 years back. The main aim and goal of the forum was autism awareness. Creating awareness about autism in the society was much needed, as we couldn't keep our children and adults at home. They had to come out. So before they could come out, the society had to be introduced to them. We also empower parents, advocate for the rights of people with disability, with autism specifically. When we say advocating rights, we look in for concessions, availing government concessions, helping in employment, fight against abuse. We also provide financial assistance. The work of Forum. Forum is a vibrant parent body, and I'm so proud and blessed to be one amongst them. We have two libraries, one at Kulaba and Vashi, and we have like amazing 500 books available out there, which the parents can avail the facility, for which they have to contact Priyanka. We conduct parent training workshops, seminars, and talks. And keeping the current scenario, the COVID-19, we have these webinars which are happening, and we are so thankful for you all parents for overwhelmingly responding back to us, which motivates us to have more such webinars and get great topics and speakers in front of you. We have a database of parents and professionals who stand to support us in times of calamity, when we have some children missing, or when there is a need for any volunteer support for any activity of the forum. We have these parents and professionals who join hands with us. We provide sponsorship to unaffording families, those parents who find it difficult to provide education and therapy at the same time. Forum helps them in sponsoring the cost wherever needed. We also participate in the Mumbai Marathon in the Dream Run. We had been doing it for a couple of years, where we had our adults and their parents walking the Dream Run along with our cause ambassadors, Chef Sanjeev Kapoor and Harsha Bhogle, who has always shouldered the responsibility of creating autism awareness. These are some of the glimpses of the workshops that have been conducted by the forum. This was one by Sushma Nagarkar on developing a person-centric plan, a life plan.
I think Darshana has some Wi-Fi issues. We'll just wait for a minute till she gets back. Please bear with us. Just waiting in for a minute for Darshana to join us again. Meanwhile, I think she was here. Hi, I'm Chitra here, trustee at Forum for Autism. Just stepping in for Darshana right now. Um, yeah, we've been, as Darshana shared with you about the work that Forum has been doing, and she was here explaining to you about all the sessions that we've been having in terms of various talks that we hold for our parents as well as for professionals. This was during the World Disability Day celebrations at Malad, where we had all the children who came together and performed also, and we had a lot of people who came in. It's the best way, right? Even as part of the marathon, as well as whichever events we participate in, we've been trying our best to sensitize people around us, and it's been wonderful getting uh, super support from everyone around us. Yeah, Darshana, you want to take over?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
I just
Go
got
ahead.
the net problem.
I'll run this presentation. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a parent to parent, Sangeeta Chakrapani, who we have this where parents come ahead and empower other parents, talking about their experiences and their journey with their children. We have these following webinars on YouTube. Parents who want to avail the facilities of these webinars of the past could go on to these link and listen to the webinars which had happened. Some of the ones which were about preparing the children for the board exams, availing concessions for NIOS, Arunima Dehradun, which happened the first Sunday of September. Then we had homeschooling. So all these webinars you could have, you could see it on the YouTube link of Forum for Autism. Please go ahead and subscribe for the same. Yes, next, Chitra. To connect with us, to be a part with us, you can always get to us through these, either you can through telephone or through our email ID. You can even be connected to us through our Facebook page. You will get all the updates about what's happening in Forum through our Facebook and our website. Ask. Ask is an adult support kendra. It works towards counseling to people with disability and their caregivers and their family members. Parents who want to avail this facility can get in touch with Munira Pitalwala and move ahead with counseling if need be. You can even get in touch with Priyanka and she will let you know what is to be done. An appeal for donation. Parents, thank you for always responding to our webinars. We would like if you could or even spread the word for donating for Forum for Autism. You could donate to us on United Way Mumbai link. All our donations are eligible for tax exemptions. Today's the next webinar which will be expected is about wills and trust, a much important needed topic which most of our parents at times are not aware as to how it is to be done, where it is to be done. So next Sunday we'll be meeting you all with Mr. Anuj Shah and Mr. Sachin from Kethan and company for the same. Today is our 30th webinar where we have Mary Barua from. I don't really want to introduce her because I don't really need to tell much about her. The name is just enough. So today we are going to talk about Ananda, the residential setup at Delhi. And saying that, I would like to call on Chitra, a friend, the trustee of Forum for Autism, someone who I always look up to. Chitra, over to you, and let's get through the journey of our. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Darshana. Dear Mary, thank you so much for your time to us. I know you've been extremely unwell also, and thanks, thanks for giving your time. And I mean, everyone is waiting to listen to you. As always, we've been inspired, um, and every time we listen to you, it's always that there are some major takeaways for all the workshops that you've conducted for us in the past in Mumbai. Physically, just seeing you was a delight. We used to all the core team members, everyone who's here, love to spend the time with you. I mean, you have some kind of vibrant energy that just completely grows on all of us. And like Darshana said, there's not, I don't think we need to introduce, but I still need to introduce you. So, yeah, everybody who's attending here, thank you for signing in from all over India to listen to Mary, as well as from Bangladesh. And we have with us Ms.Merry Barua. She is the founding member and the director of Action for Autism. That is set up so many chapters all over India, including Forum for Autism. We owe it to her for having guided us on what to do for our children with autism here. Um, she's a very, very, very loving mom to Neeraj, and she's going to share with us about her journey. I mean, I've tried to request her to share a bit about her journey in the field of autism and how she went up to set up so many places, including Open Door. And then finally, of course, we're here to talk about Ananda today. Mary, a lot of people, everyone who's attending is obviously concerned about the future of the children and would like to hear from you that how did you think about it? When did you think that your child has to go stays independent? And is it right if a parent thinks that no, the child needs to stay with the parent only, or continue staying in their homes where they are after they pass away, or that they should look to go stay in a residential place? Um, with all your expertise and what you have been teaching over the years, and your interaction with so many parents who have been in this journey with you to set up Ananda, we would like to hear the whole story from you. And over to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
shall I start? Thank you, Chitra. It's wonderful to be here, especially doing something for Forum for Autism. Ever since I first met Beena, more than 25 years ago, I think, 25
Yes.
years
Yes.
ago,
Yes.
there has been a special bond that I've had with Forum for Autism.
Yeah.
And with Mumbai, because there are other organizations in Mumbai also that I have this special bonding with. And I think that's one of the amazing things about the autism community, that we are connected to organizations and people across the country. And even for this talk, I've had, chats with people, and I've made notes with people who said that, please talk about this. This is very important. Or somebody else said, oh, you must cover this. This is very important.
Yeah.
And I've had five different people, including Indrani Basu from Kolkata, not Delhi, Parul Kumtha from Mumbai, Anjali, then various other people who you all wouldn't know. So there's no point taking their names. But, so that the connection that the autism community has, I think, is really, really very heartwarming, and, it's an amazing one, really, across the country.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to start by, in the last few days, people have sent me links to various presentations by parents, and the one thought that came to me is that I do not do, I'm not very good at doing one of those emotionally ringing presentations. I'm a practical person, and I tend to talk in very practical terms. So for all those who are attending, was Chitra had suggested I talk a little bit about my life with Neeraj. It's not going to be one of those, like heart-wringing kind of things, right? So I tend to be more practical than emotional, and I wrote this point down. I said I'm going to mention this. But when I talk about Neeraj, I have to say this, and I know this is a cliche, that having Neeraj has made me a better person, not because he has a disability, but because he had forced me to step back and think of things differently. He has forced me to think of diversity. I always believed I was an inclusive person, but Neeraj made me realize in how many ways I was discriminatory and to rethink what I thought I was. So in that way, he's really been a lodestar who's made me think. Because I think we all think that we are very inclusive and we are all very nice people. But when you have somebody like Neeraj, it forces you to think. And he's forced me to think, rethink my inclusivity. Am I really inclusive of diversity? So, it's really changed me because it's made me think. And all right, so that's what he has done, and he's introduced me to autism, which I think is one of the most amazing conditions to know about, right? But however, having said that, I did not start anything for Neeraj. I started it because I wanted to change things. Because Neeraj had services when I started doing things. It wasn't for him. Even Ananda was not started for him. But because, I have this drive to do things, to change things, so therefore. And also, I think the other important point to make is that, like Forum for Autism, Action for Autism is an organization that is not owned by me. Like Forum is owned by, it's a number of parents who've come together. And that's what Action for Autism is. Of course, I have to beat a lot of parents to come together to do it. But the point is, in my head, it was always nothing about me, but a bunch of parents who have to get together. So the majority of people on our board are parents, right? Okay, so having said that, so Neeraj, of course, got a diagnosis. He's 40, he turned 40 this year. And so when he had, I knew from the time when he was around two and a half, that there was something different about him. And I thought that maybe he's a bit slow. And honestly, I never had this thing that I got to have an Einstein. I'll have the kid who'll be best at everything. I never had that, So, whatever he was okay with me. And I really thought that he was a slow child, and that was all right. But when I got the diagnosis of autism, that was a bit of a not like why me, not that, but more what do I do about this? Because remember, 40 years ago there was no internet, no book, no nothing. There wasn't a single therapist or professional who could tell me what to do. There were no books, right? There was no programs happening on the internet and stuff like that. So yes, he forced me to learn about autism, and in the process, he's been through 5 schools, and all of them were good people. See, any school that's trying to do stuff, even if they're doing things that are not appropriate, they're not doing it because they want to be bad, but because they think that's the right thing to do, right? So people do things because they are misinformed, because they don't have the information. So a lot of things happened with him. He went to different schools, and around the time he was 14, I think I started AFA. And what I knew then, what I know now, I didn't know then, right? So of course I knew a lot more than what people around me knew, but in the world, people knew very little about autism, right? In those days, 35 years ago, we did not have people with autism educating us, which is what has changed the whole paradigm shift, because people with autism have started telling us what it is, what it is all about, right? And so, of course, we made mistakes also at AFA based on what we knew. Now we know that maybe we could have, no, I won't say mistakes. Based on our knowledge then, we did the right things. Then at around 19, Neeraj had a huge breakdown, massive breakdown. And a lot of people have seen that breakdown. I remember I traveled to Goa with him for a workshop for Setu, what was then Nandita D'Souza's earlier organization. And Neeraj was having his major challenges and all of that. And I traveled with him there, and they saw what was happening and stuff like that. But, the whole of AFA, it started from my home, moved to various places. We did not have Jasola on the first go. We did not have money forever. And now, after the organization has been there close to 30 years, now we kind of know how to manage the finances and all of that. But before that, we didn't have any money. We said, aa jayega. like all NGOs do, aa jayega. You do it, it'll come. And it came. I think when you do work, people I haven't been in touch with suddenly fetched up and said, oh, I know this organization wants to give money and give a check. That kind of stuff. Magical stuff happens. And I think every not-for-profit has gone through that. Right. And so it's been there for about 30 years. Neeraj has grown, he's changed, he's had a lot of challenging behaviors. And he has been a person who has not been the easiest. First of all, he's a person who has significant autism. Secondly, he's a person who does not have any deep interest in anything. There are kids who are deeply interested in maybe pencils, or deeply interested in mobiles, or deeply interested in something. Neeraj is interested in nothing. And believe me, that's the toughest kind of kid you can have. If somebody has an obsession with something, that's great. When there is no obsession, that's the toughest.
Yeah.
And he also had major challenges. For some time, I was told that maybe he has bipolar. But I think in just this year, I think we finally figured out with this excellent doctor that he probably has far more seizures. He has seizures, he's on seizure medication for years, far more than we think. And some of his behaviors are due to the seizures. And we've just changed the medicine and all that. But because Neeraj was a really, really challenging guy, everybody at AFA got trained brilliantly. Because if you could manage Neeraj, you could manage any kid, right? So their training has been, because when you get trained with very easy kids, as it happens with a lot of regular schools, they take the easy ones. So when they get a tough one, they're kind of in a flap. They don't know what to do. But when you have a really tough one, that kid trains you, and then you can work with anybody, right? And so currently, just to give a little background, we run a small school, but we also work in inclusive education. We run a sheltered workplace, but we also put people in employment. We also have put people in employment after the coronavirus thing started. We run parent empowerment programs. We run a lot of counseling with people who are very high functioning, hold regular jobs, married, all kinds of stuff. And we do a lot of counseling with people like that. And yeah, so and then of course in time we decided to start AFA, and I will talk a little, Ananda, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And to just quickly mention that Action for Autism has a governing body, and like I said, majority of them are parents, and it is really the governing body that takes a lot of the decisions. I will admit that that was not so in the beginning. For a long time, the governing body used to just come for a meeting and go back. They were just there. But it was when Ananda started, and many of the parents, their kids were older, the governing body started getting very involved. And having a governing body that is not really involved in the day-to-day is not a good thing. Have a governing body that is involved, that asks questions. But having said that, very important that they ask questions, but having said that, if you have a governing body where you have members whose only job is to find fault with the organization, that's not helpful. That happens also, right? And that's not good. So that's a quick point that I wanted to make. So one of the things, and that's important in terms of Ananda, and I mentioned the governing body because the governing body is the same one that takes care of Ananda, because we don't have a separate one for Ananda. Is one of the projects of Action for Autism. It's a major project, and it is the one project that will continue regardless. Other projects we may decide to conclude. This will not be concluded. This will carry on. So in that sense, it's a very important project. The other thing that is relevant to Ananda and was relevant to our current center in Chisola, which we built and were so excited that we've got it now after many years of fighting with the government to get the lands, construct, etc. Our aim was that, see, in those days, things have changed now. Those days, the thing was, disabled hai, kuch ek bana do. And we were determined we are going to have something nice. That the kind of stuff that non-disabled people also have, that is the kind of place we have. We will not compromise, since we are constructing something of our own, just because these are people who have a disability. And that is something that is equally important in what's it called? At Ananda. It's a very relevant thing. And of course, we have made lots and lots of mistakes. But if you have not made mistakes, then you have not really learned. Because I think mistakes are our biggest teachers. If you make mistakes, you know you're on the right path. I really believe that, right? Because that is that what tells you, okay, you need to change this and you need to change that, right? And before I start off on Ananda, I just want to say one more thing. Everything that has happened. I know you gave that very glowing introduction of me. I have to say that everything that has happened in terms of AFA through the years, I really need to write a book of gratitude. I keep telling myself I have to do that because I think there are literally hundreds of people who have helped in different ways, small ways, big ways, but who have helped, and they often don't get mentioned. And I think that acknowledgement has to happen. So I keep thinking I need to write a book, and that book will have to be a book of gratitude where I have to acknowledge all these people who have helped us over the years, for the past 30 years, and they all add up to where we are now, really, right?
I don't know how many books will be written just for you. Thank you.
So one of the things is that, of course, Ananda is there because there is this, the constant worry that parents start happening once they are a bit older, and even when they're very young. Hamare baad kya hoga? What will happen to our children after us? Right? And I know that this is a thought that has always been in my head. And as a result, when I've traveled, and I've traveled a lot on work and as well as for pleasure, but mostly work, I made it a point wherever I could to go and visit group homes. And I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about 25 years back. I visited group homes all over many places in India, but also in Denmark, Germany, Ireland, UK, US, South Africa, all kinds of places, right? And lots and lots of very good lessons that I've learned from there. But the biggest lesson that I've learned is do not ape what you see in a developed country. Their situation, our situation, completely different. Pick what are the right things, pick what are the good things, but there is a lot you cannot just pick and do. So I know that somebody from down south called me recently and said, our group is saying that we have to start a group home and stuff like that. But, and they said, we will just, and he's not the only one. I think Indrani or Parul, one of them also said the same thing. We'll just hire people and we'll put them there. I said, nahi hota hai. Because in developed countries, you can go and hire special educators, mostly with your eyes shut. Because they have had trainings that are, accredited in the real sense of the term. People see what they're doing, not just when they did their training, but on a day-to-day basis. In India, there is nothing. Yes, you get an RCI certification, but that really does not follow up to see what you're doing or what your skills are like. Even the RCI trainings, we do RCI trainings, but they are not the same across the country and across organizations. So that is one of the biggest difficulties that we have to keep in mind. The other thing that is very different from the West is that not just the West, even in the East, the developed countries in the East, they have a social service net that the government provides, which ensures that you have social workers that go and visit your group home to see what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you're feeding, what you're not feeding, how they're kept occupied, right? Everything. We don't have that. Anybody.
Very true, very.
Anybody can go and start a group home.
I'm talking to Indrani. She's going to be talking next month. She's also on the chat. And she was saying, Chitra, we are very different. You don't know what happens to us in terms of politics.
Absolutely.
We cannot move a finger until we know somebody there. So
yes,
we are different. The state is completely different. We cannot. What you said is absolutely right.
She's very right. And if you don't know people, it's such a fight. Now, 30 years now we are established, the fight is less. I know I did international campaigns to get my land. I mean it. I still have the papers. I did an international campaign for us to get the land from DDA. And when we got the land, they demanded commercial rates. And because I didn't know people in Delhi, I'm not from Delhi. So the kind of fight that we have to do if you don't know people. In India, everything is based on how many people you know. And if you, but in the West, that's not it. If you have the qualifications, you've got a good plan, and the state will keep an eye to make sure that you're delivering what you're meant to deliver. In India, anybody can go and open a group home. Anyone, right? And there, many of them actually run as businesses, which is fine. There's no harm in running a business. But also keep in mind that are you really implementing what you're meant to implement, right? So, in terms of group homes, one of the biggest things is that the first time I talked about a group home was 20 plus years ago, when along with 4 other mothers who were friends, these were mothers with kids with developmental delay and Down syndrome, very good friends. We worked out how to start a group home. And we will take an apartment, we'll do this. Now I realize a lot of it was not very practical. But also the cost at that point was turning out that we would each have to put in 35 lakhs. Now, 25 years ago, I did not have the beginning of 35 lakhs. So it was out of the question. But that's when we really started. And there were multiple steps. Then there was a time when another parent who was on our board and we got very excited about looking for land in the Aravalis because there was land being available cheaply. But then we discovered that we needed at least 10 parents who will give 2 lakhs each. And other than that parent and he's the one who came with the idea. So he came and said, let's do it. Other than the two of us, nobody wanted to give 2 lakhs. And for me, 2 lakhs was a tough ask. But I was willing to do it, but nobody was willing to do it, right? Because, we didn't have anything else. That's the thing. People don't want to give till you have something solid. And I understand why. Why people did not give? Because I did not have anything to show them, right? And then there was another time, there was a talk of a cooperative. And all of us gave 10,000, we'll buy a cooperative and all that kind of stuff. And there was our name didn't come up. But, now when I think of it, I'm glad it did not come through because we really hadn't a clue what we were doing. Even though I was running an organization, we really hadn't a clue. And then the governing body decided they wanted to have something like an ashram. And that's how we went to look. And I was very against that idea. So we went and looked at Ananda, but the governing body said it, the majority said it, I went along with it. And in hindsight, I am happy. I am happy we took the land we did because I think it's one of the most beautiful places we have. Of course, we've still made mistakes after that, but the location is so beautiful that even when I go and stay there, I spend a lot of time there. It just has a calming effect on me. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, right? So again, to get back to it, parents are not just worried about what will happen after us, they're also worried about challenging behaviors, right? I've had so many parents come to us and say, I'm being driven crazy. I mean, take my child off my hand, right? So, and actually when we started Anand, the first kids we took on were kids whose families were having a really tough time, right? So challenging behaviors. And there is one more reason why you need a group home. And that is because supposing the family wants to go for a wedding, the kid with autism hates it. Whenever they go, there are behaviors. But we force them to go, right? We force them to go. Now, we tell families that if they don't want to go, leave them at a group home. Don't force that kid just because he has autism and he can't tell you, I hate this thing, right? So, and that is why a place where an escape for the young person with autism, somewhere I can get away to, right? So anyway, this whole thought process and writing in Autism Network that we are looking for a building or an apartment to start a group home, we did that for more than 10 years. Never got anything. But all that carried on for at least 25 years. So to come directly to Ananda, there are many aspects that we've got to look at. We had to look at infrastructure, personnel, what would be the systems over there, what would the financials be? And when you talk of financials, both in terms of personnel and financial sustainability, right? What would be the parent involvement? So all of these are major issues. So what I'll do now, how far have I gone in time? Half an hour. Okay, yeah. So now I'll talk a little bit about what we do at Ananda. And I'm sorry, don't bother to show the PowerPoint. I wish I could have shared.
I'm showing it. And
no, don't
we'll
bother.
talk
I
about
wish I could have shared some nice pictures because we got some lovely ones. I've got some nice pictures on our Facebook. We don't have a separate website for Ananda, but what we were thinking is we'll have a separate Facebook page for Ananda where we can post information on it because that'll be simpler.
Yeah.
Right? So we thought maybe we will do that. And it's the FFA, invitation to talk that made us think about it. That
Right.
we're going to think of a
Right.
Facebook page.
Lovely, lovely. We can show it in the end. What you've shared, the photograph, we can show once you finish talking.
Okay, all right.
Sorry to interrupt you. Parents and humble request, the question answers could be posted in the question answer section only, not on the chat. Thank you.
All right. So like I said that, okay, to start about Ananda, it is at the foot of the Aravalis in a place outside Gurgaon. From the Gurgaon, from Gurgaon itself, from the Sona, whatever road, it's 20 minutes drive into a rural area. And, the thing is that initially, even I had this kind of thing that, rural area, typical urban mindset. Ki rural mein hoga to kyun, it won't be nice, right? But the reality is that it's the best place that we could have had. We are 20 minutes drive from the city, and the people in the surrounding villages are so nice. We were told that I forget the name of the particular community that lives there, that they're very difficult. We'll have a really tough time. That's not true at all. We are constantly being invited to community events. And in fact, they were invited to something yesterday and they had to decline because of the coronavirus thing. They said, we are really sorry. They kept insisting. The village head had invited all of us, right? But, we said that, coronavirus, please don't be offended, but we can't go. And it's really nice to be in that kind of an area. Like I said, when we started with people who are on what you call people with very high support needs, people who had a lot of behaviors that families were having challenges with. And over time, slowly, we started getting more of a mix. Now we have 8 residents staying there. And we have people who are Aspies. We have people, and they all stay together, right? One of the things I'm very conscious of is that we will not separate severe and mild, because that is what society keeps doing. That is what our inclusive schools keep doing. And that is why we get Aspies who come in and take a look at a couple of the severe ones and said, nahi rehna hai. Then they change their mind and they come back. But a lot of the Aspies have a lot of negative perceptions about severe people, because that is what they've learned from their schools and their environment. And if we are talking inclusion and we are talking diversity, we're going to have them together. Just like in my family, I have a kid who's typically developing and I have a kid who's got severe autism. I don't say ki isko alag rakho, usko alag rakho. So that is by policy, they're all together. And they're very comfortable. In fact, the ones who are Aspies, very often it's their responsibility when they walk down from the residence to the workplace to keep an eye on one of them. Pakad ke nahi chalna hai, because they've all learned to walk independently. Magar dhyan rakhna hai. So they're given responsibility. Each is given responsibility based on their ability, even those who are former severes. We take in people with autism. We take in people without autism as well. So long as we know the condition is something we know how to deal with. So supposing if we get somebody with mental health issues, I think we would be okay with taking them in, so long as we have clear instructions on what we should do under particular circumstances, right? So we are open to other kinds of disabilities. How do they join, right? How do the young people join? So basically, families get in touch with us. It's mostly word of mouth. But lately I've posted a couple of times in Facebook, but it's, by the way, by and large, word of mouth. We take in adults who are 18 for long stay. Anybody who's coming for long stay have to be 18. But we have taken in people, adolescents, not little children, but adolescents, where the family had an emergency, where the family desperately needed to travel, or some such stuff was happening, or the family desperately needed a break. We have that also, where the family desperately needs a break. So we do have short stay for adolescents as well, right? But that's only for short stay. Anybody who comes in, um, they will have to undergo a kind of a, not kind of, they will have to undergo a formal assessment. We have our own assessment that we administer, which is based on a number of tools that we have and then things that we have added to it. So they have to undergo a formal assessment where we try to understand their strengths, their challenges, how they communicate, what are their interests, what are their skills, how independent they are in different areas, so that when they arrive, we know exactly how much support to provide and how much not to provide. Because one of the things that we are very mindful of is that some of them come with certain skills, and if you over prompt them or over support them, they will lose those skills, right? Or they'll get dependent. So we are very mindful of all of that, and we make sure that the assessment is really thorough. What are their work skills? Have they ever worked in a vocational or any other place? And I should make a note of this. Something that I thought of, I'll talk about later, right? Yeah, so those, and then the other thing that we do ask for is that there is a guardianship certificate. Because these are all adults and we want them to come with a guardianship certificate. However, we do have aspies for whom we have not taken a guardianship certificate because we believe that they can take their own decisions. So we have not asked for them, right? Even though these are people who need support, we said they can take their own decisions. We will not take a guardianship certificate for them. But otherwise, we do for those who need it. We also have a memorandum of understanding that we sign with the parents. So it details down everything, and the parent goes through it, we go through it, and we both sign it. Right? If the parent agrees to it, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't sign it. So it puts everything there, and it has things like, if there is a medical situation, we will take care of all first aid and basic medical needs. But anything severe, the parents will have to step in. But if the parent is not there and there is hospitalization needed and stuff, that we'll do it. But other than that, anything, because right now we have not got into, people are here for long stay, which means that they are going to stay with us for life, but we haven't created that thing of the life, and I'll talk about that yet, right? Like what exactly will it entail? So we haven't got there yet, right? So then the day-to-day running, how does the whole thing run? So, one of the things we were very mindful of, and I know Indrani is speaking to you next, and Indrani will understand this very well. Anybody who's running an organization will understand that it is not just having something so that there are no behaviors, right? And I'm saying this because I've heard people say things like, we make sure there are no behaviors. That is not the reason why. Just making sure that the child doesn't have behaviors is not enough, right? Because the minute you say that, it suggests that bad behaviors define people with disabilities. Bad behaviors define people with autism. They don't, right? Behaviors are an outcome of things that they are experiencing, and that is not their entire personality. So when they come to us, ensuring that they don't have bad behaviors, we don't even think about that. What we think about is ensuring a day where they are gainfully employed, gainfully occupied, so that they are happy at the end of it. And if you do that, then there won't be behaviors, right? So focus is not do something, therefore there are no behaviors, right? So then you will think, acha kuch dawai de do, make them run around the whole day so that there are no behaviors, right? But that doesn't, that shows that you believe that that is really what defines the person with disability. It does not. So we have a plan for the day, and a plan to briefly give you an idea. It's like, they get up in the morning, they all go for a walk, they come back, wash up a little bit, relax for a bit, then they have their breakfast, then they all go for their ADLs, in which they're supported depending on their levels. So they brush their teeth, do their potty, take a bath, etc., etc. Some of them may have slight differences in the order because of the individual thing, but this is the common one. So they take a shower, then they all pack their bags, and then they take their bags and they walk down to where the vocational is. They are in the vocational, they work there till, some of them who have very high support needs, they work till 1. Those who are more functional, they work till 3. And eventually we want the vocational to run till 5 o'clock. So that they're all busy and working every weekday. Of course, in the vocational at 11 o'clock, they have a snack break, like a fruit break. And then at around 1 o'clock, they have lunch. And those who are in the vocational, so one of the young people, they walk down, they trudge to the home, they collect all the tiffin boxes and they trudge back. So they do the work. And then they all sit down and they have their lunch. And then they work till whatever time. Then once they get back, they relax for a while. Currently, it's still 3 o'clock, so they relax for a bit. And then 4 o'clock, everybody has a snack. They have tea and snacks, etc., etc. And then from 4:30, 4:45 till 7, there are a range of activities. It could be indoor stuff, it could be outdoor stuff, it could be cycling, walking, playing games. But, okay, and then they have dinner at around 7:30. They start laying the table and all of that. By 8:30, they have finished dinner, right? And after that, most of them are in bed by 9, but some of them sit around and then they go to bed 10:30, 10:30, etc. But otherwise, most of them are in bed, or at least in their rooms. So this is the day. But the whole day, we are great followers of structure. And one of the persons that we should show gratitude to is Eric Schopler and Gary Messerbob, who realized that people with autism and also people with intellectual disabilities, they thrive on predictability. And that is why we realize that this is something that will make their lives easier, give them predictability, and keep them happy because they know what is going to happen. And even the residents we have who only have intellectual disability, for them, having this predictability is so important, so important. So that people who've come in, like in the family said, they will take a long time to settle down. They just settle down because there's predictability, there's comfort, right? And this comfort, then you settle down. Okay, so one of the things that happens with a lot of parents is that there is a lot of focus on food. Kya kha raha hai, right? And we try and help them see, what is more important, what your child is doing through the day. We try to send them pictures so they can see. But for many parents, I think it will take a long time to understand that no matter what, the food is not what defines one's day, right? It's what you're doing through the day. Because you see, what we have is a very healthy diet, extremely healthy diet. Tea time is the one time when they get some chatpata, something like that. But the rest of the day, it's solid sabzi, roti, chawal, dal, salad, dahi, non-veg on some days. 2 days a week we have non-veg, egg, etc. So it's very healthy. But we don't have lots of fried things and all that kind of stuff. And some of the people who come to us, they used to have fried things every 3 hours. And parents expect that they should keep eating actually they do eat every 3 hours, come to think of it. But the point is that they expect that they should have lots of, chatpata, fried, mithai, all the time. Of course, they have mithais also. They also have chocolates, but not every day and not all the time. Like savere kha liya, raat ko kha liya, that kind of stuff. So a lot of parents find that very difficult because they're sending their children from that kind of a situation to realize that. And the funny part is, one of the parents who's really bothered about this, we had never seen their son smiling. Seriously. And he's smiling so much. He's just happy. He runs around, he does all that kind of stuff. And sometimes I think we need to video him and let the parents see how happy your child is. And that brings me to this whole thing of how we treat people. The most critical part is really giving the people who are living there agency. Giving them the right to make choices. That does not mean कि हम जो मर्जी वो करेंगे. But हम लोग जो मर्जी नहीं करते हैं. But we also have choices, right? So to give them those choices, to let them make up their mind certain things, and also try and understand what makes people happy. I'll just step back a little bit and talk about, um, I'll just talk about it so that I don't forget I wrote this down. I'll just talk about the fact that, we started Ananda about 4 years back, but initially we started it as a pilot project because we wanted to see, because we really were venturing into something we didn't know. And 4 years back, we did not know anything that seemed really solid to us. And we visited a lot of the places in the country. Because 4 years back, everybody was still finding their feet. So when we started, we did it as a pilot project. We hired people, we put them there, we oversaw them a bit and stuff like that. And then after a year, we said, and we began to realize that we have to do it differently. We will have to do it differently. And it was a pilot, of course, so then we stopped it. So I think we stopped it, there was a gap of 7 months or something, in which time we brought all our team members to Jasola, our main center, and gave them a rigorous training. And we realized that will be the way to go. We will have to put them all through this training and then put them there, because what happens in, even at Jasola, I know that we had often been asked, who are the people in your school, for instance, who write the IEPs and the reports? We say all the people in the classrooms do. Because we realize that in many places you have 1 or 2 people who do the IEPs and reports, and the others just follow. We follow a slightly different model. We believe that everybody has to have the knowledge and the skill, right? You may have 1 or 2 people who don't, but the majority, basically all of them, have to have the core knowledge. Because the core knowledge is really, it's not just about what do I do in helping the child learn this, what do I help the child to unlearn that. The core of it is understanding how to respect people, right? So that for us is the most important thing. I'll give you an example. We've got one young man who's just joined us and who says he's come to a school and he is 40. And at 40, he was still going to school. At 40, you don't go to school. See, in India, we don't have that understanding very clearly. If I told you, Chitra, that, are you going to school? You'd be, what? What do you mean I'm going to school, right? So even if they are going somewhere to a vocational, they're going to school. And that thing of eternal childhood is very strong in us, right? And that is what we are very conscious of. And I still remember one parent telling me, this was about, not telling me, telling a group of us, I would say about 15 years ago, that, I want to send up a group home and I'm going to have this jacuzzi and I want my son to be lying in the jacuzzi and enjoying himself all day. And I thought, come on, respect your son. No matter how much he loved jacuzzi, he is not going to love being there the whole time. Let him do things that gives him a sense of self-respect. And believe me, even people who we think are really severe will begin to feel empowered by that. And in Forum, some of you all had visited, I don't know if everybody visited Ananda, but I know Parul definitely did. And there are some of the people she had seen then, and she should see them now. And these are people who are considered extremely severe. And I mean it, extremely severe. And you should see how they have blossomed. Because when you give them respect, when you give them the possibility of self-development, human beings will want to. Every human being wants to. So that really is the most important part as far as our residents are concerned, treating them with respect. And I'll mention something else, And I visited a place, and I have to say they changed it. After we spoke to them, they changed it. We didn't speak, somebody else spoke to them about it. they had bathrooms where they had commodes side by side. And we wondered, why are there multiple commodes in the same bathroom? They said to save time. Now the point is, will you and I go and crap together to save time? We will not. And I know another group home where they have them all the women in one place with their clothes off and their hose down. Is this a Gaushala? Right? And that's the thing. You know, in India, you have a lot of that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that Forum is going to do that or Imran is going to do that, any of us. But then we are people who are thinking about it all the time. Right? We are thinking about it. The problem is that there are lots who are not, and it is very important for us to go and talk about it, because there are, believe me, even amongst parents we know, they are not in the organizations, they're individual parents who feel that this is okay. It's only when parents come together and they start talking, they realize that these are terrible things. But when they're on their own, many of them think, ठीक है, कितना प्यार से देखता है. So प्यार से देखता है, अच्छा कपड़ा पहना कर दिवाली में 2 पिक्चर पोस्ट कर दिया फेसबुक में, parents get very happy. But you know, that is not it. They're human beings, right? So the respect, dignity, agency. So, you know, the residents that we take on, they, in their day-to-day thing, they will do things like, all of them, no matter how severe, they have to take their plate and go to the sink and rinse it out, right? And we support them with it. And there is no jabardasti. We don't do it, karna hi hoga, no. Because, I mean, Chitra, you will know at AFA, we don't yell at people, we don't shout, we don't hit. And I know that's true of many of the organizations that are here. They never do these things. They cannot imagine doing it, right? But there are organizations who do that also. So they all take their plate to the sink, they will rinse them out, they will take turns, and they will all try to make their bed in the morning. They're supported in making their bed, because these are skills that if you keep doing over and over and over again, you will learn eventually, right? So that is what their daily plan is like, more or less. And we also have the vocational, like I mentioned, we call it the workplace. It's in a separate building, so it takes about a 4-minute walk to get there. And the vocational has various activities, and we look at the individual strength and skills, and they work at those. And you know, we take a lot of our understanding and learning from what we've done at Jasola to the workplace at Ananda, and we're implementing it there. And we also have an IT sector that we started there at Ananda. And the reason is that not only will the residents be using it, we were supposed to, in July, open up the vocational, the workplace, to people from Gurgaon and surrounding areas, right? So they could also come and use it, because we're setting up a nice place. Lots of people can come and use it. But then COVID happened, and parents have got in touch saying that, you know, we'd like to send our kids. But, you know, this whole COVID thing still makes us feel a little antsy, because during the lockdown, Ananda kept running. We did not shut it down, because we have got lots of space. The people who worked there, lived there. So we could continue running it, and we kept it very airtight and safe. And we don't want that to be jeopardized. So even though the workplace is ready to welcome people, we thought, okay, let maybe the end of October come, and then we will think about it. We kept pushing it back. July mein karenge, August mein karenge, September mein karenge. Now we are thinking October. Hopefully we'll be able to start off in October, I think, but let's see. As far as the people who work there, like I said, we ran a pilot project, and that gave us an indication of, you know, what kind of training is needed, how long the training has to be, what the training has to be. The people who work at Ananda, some of them are special educators, some of them are not. It does not matter really. What matters is the attitude you bring to the whole job, right? And one of the things that we have not encouraged at Jasola, and we don't encourage here, is if anybody says that I want to be a martyr and I want to help these poor things. We don't want people who want to come and help poor things. We want people who want to do this because they think it'll be interesting, or they think it'll be fun. But if you're coming with the mindset कि ये बेचारे बच्चे के लिए कुछ करना है हमें, भगवान हमको कुछ कर देंगे, then I don't think we want them. right? So we try to see the attitude of the people who are coming in. We have what we call assists. We agonized over what to call the people who work there. The people with disabilities are the residents. The assists are also residents, and some may not be residents later on also. But we agonized over what should we call them, because this is a home. You see, a ghar hai. So ghar mein, what do you call them? So we decided eventually he assists, right? And and the personnel that we have, we it's very much like the way it is at Jasola. We try to keep an atmosphere of openness so that they can speak their minds. They can say, if I go and suggest something and they think it's wrong, they will tell me. If Preeti goes and suggests something is wrong, they will tell her. So they have the right to question anybody. And I think that's what really leads to openness, because then when you ask them a question, they are more easier taking it because they know they can also question back. And the way we have the home is we have the assists, those who live there, and currently they all live there. They live, it's like an apartment for a large joint family. That's what it is like. It's an apartment for a large joint family, and they all live there, right? So some of the assists, they share a room. Some of the people with autism will also share a room. Some of the people with not just autism, other disabilities also, sometimes families have said that we would like them to share with another person. So we have an assist and a person with disability also. So we have all kinds of combinations. And it's exactly like a house. You walk in, there is a living area, there's a kitchen, and we have an open kitchen plan, And people often told us, how will you manage with the kids with autism? They will go in and they will want to eat, and they will, they will open the fridge, ye karega, wo. Of course they did in the beginning. Now they don't. When a new person comes in, it happens. But then they don't. And we have an open kitchen, right? And so your kitchen, living room, and then you go upstairs, there are more bedrooms. So it's exactly like a joint family ka ghar jaisa hota hai na, so everybody's living there. As far as the medical aspect is concerned, we have one of the parents is a doctor, and we consult with her. And there is another doctor, another GP that we consult with, but mostly with this parent because she understands autism more, but the other parent also, other person also. But what we have done is we've written to a few other doctors, and we are creating an advisory body for for Ananda, right? So there'll be various doctors, and sorry. Right. So we plan to have an advisory thing. There is a hospital that is nearby, which is where we take people when there is an instant need. They know us by now. People have had to go for CAT scans. People have had to go for blood tests, and it's amazing, how we often underestimate our children. So we have this young man who would be considered, very severe and all that kind of stuff, and he had certain health issues. And so we asked the parent that, please ask the doctor what we should do. And the doctor suggested a whole slew of blood tests. And, the father said, "Nahi, aap log karao," because, we don't know. And we prepared him. We did the preparation, we did a practice, we did everything. And he did the blood test. First time in his life that he's done blood tests without, being put under and stuff like that, anything like people holding him down. He just did the blood test, right? So we often underestimate our people, or their ability and their, what they would do, what they would not do. If we help them understand and if we explain to them, most of them, I'm not saying everybody, but most of them would be able to participate. The other question that is there is on sustainability. Big question, right? How do you sustain something like this? See, the thing is that why a group home, right? I think to go back to the question, why a group home? You have to have a group home because I know that there are often parents who tell me that, I don't need to bother, I've got other children. Or I don't need to bother, I've got other family members, right? And unless if you have family members who are deeply rooted in the place where they stay, like supposing if I have family members in Delhi and I've got all these family members and they're not going to go anywhere, they're going to be there forever, right? That is different, but that is rare. For most people, you have no idea where, did I know I'll be living in Delhi? Not a clue, right? And here I am living in Delhi. If we, and of course, I'm living in Delhi. If I did not have Neeraj, I probably would have not just been in Delhi, I moved to many other places, right? But I came here and I got stuck and I've been here, etc. But that's happened to a lot of us. Like we are in places where we are not originally from. We had no intention of being, but there you are, right? And there you stay forever. So when parents say that, and I know many parents where they had said that the sibling will look after, and now the sibling is somewhere else, or the sibling has got married and the spouse is not too comfortable. There have also been really sad instances where I know this parent who told me, I really don't have to bother, I got this amazing other sibling, and the sibling passed away, right? So we don't know, right? None of these things, just like we are not constant as parents, uh, other family members, siblings, I'm not sure how constant they also are. And that is where group homes come in. And that is why we have to start thinking of um, how, how do we ensure that when I'm not there, my child is looked after. When I first started Ananda, Neeraj was not staying there. I didn't have the need per se because Neeraj is so used to staying without me. This is something that all parents should do. I keep telling parents, but it never happens for most of them. I have been leaving Neeraj and traveling from the time he was in his teens. And he's got used to it, right? I prepared him and I left him and I traveled. I've left him with household help and gone off, right? Except when I go outside the country, then I ensure somebody is there because if something happens, it's not easy to come back from another country. But if I'm traveling within India, he's learned to live alone, he's lived alone. So, but now that I've sent him to Ananda and he lives there, I have such a sense of relief. Because, when I go there, for instance, he'd come back home. So I asked him, sometimes when I'm there, I ask him, I'm going home, do you want to come for a couple of days? He'll say no. Sometimes he'll say yes. So recently when I went, he said yes. So he came home for 2 days. And then when I went back again after the 2 days, he had a year-to-year grin pasted on his face the entire day. He could not stop smiling. So, I knew that, okay, we are doing something right. If he's so happy, there is something right that we are doing. Given that Neeraj is somebody who can have a lot of behaviors, right? He's very happy. He doesn't have any behaviors there. Extremely comfortable. So sustainability, okay, to come back to sustainability, the whole idea is for the place to be running when parents are not there. So to make it sustainable, there are a number of things. One is in terms of financial sustainability. The other one is in terms of systems, so which I would call perhaps organizational sustainability. So those are the two things that are most important, right? So when parents are no longer there, when as an organization, it's very important, and it helps at AFA because AFA is not dependent on me, right? Currently, I don't even look at any of the services. There are enough good people who head different parts of AFA, and I don't even look at most of those things. I do what I want to do, right? And so it's whatever you run, whether it is a group home or any organization, it's important that it should not be person dependent. It must be dependent on an organizational core, right? And the good thing about Ananda is that I know that some of our team members, current team members who are parents, are very, and even non-parents, I won't say parents, current team members, parents, as well as non-parents who are very keen to eventually live at Ananda and work there, right? So, that gives a lot of hope. And because there are no formal state-appointed monitoring that will ever happen at Ananda or any other place, because we don't have anything for schools also. So having systems in place is very, very, very important, right? So we are working on those. It's still kind of a work in progress, but we have, we have the usual uh, uh, resident safeguards policy. So basically, we have a safeguards policy not just for Ananda, but for that will be applicable to Jasola also. So a safeguards policy is very, very, very important. That covers everything. It covers sexual harassment, covers abuse, because the point I always make is that we get very caught up in sexual abuse, but abuse can be of all kinds, right? Abuse can be verbal, abuse can be, physical, abuse can be neglect, right? So it's not just about sexual abuse. So we have a safeguards policy, and we are the financial planning. What we hope is that Ananda will not only be financially self-sufficient, but we will also build up a corpus that will take care of any kind of uh, uh, extra needs that might come up and stuff like that. Because the other thing is that we also want to be able to sponsor some of the people who live there. We do sponsor one already, right? So our aim is we charge quite a lot, but I don't know the exact amount, but I know it's quite a bit in Indian terms. But the aim is that we also sponsor some people who will not have the means. There's something else I wanted to say is that, and in the sustainability, the most critical part, like I said, is financial and organizational. And in the organizational, the one thing that I want to stress on is maintaining the organizational ethos. That is really, really, really important to ensure that I'm talking about dignity and respect and making sure it's all there. I have to ensure that everybody imbibes that it is a part of the organization, so that regardless of whoever is in charge of Ananda, that remains a core. This whole thing of respect and dignity for people with disabilities. And the fact that AFA is a rights organization, we provide services, but our main thing is about rights. So that helps quite a bit, but we can never be complacent, because it's very easy to lose it and get into a place where you're doing things that are not very appropriate. So future plans kya hai? One is that we have an apartment block. Once that is full, we plan to construct another section where we will have we'll have 15 people staying, again, bedrooms and a common area. So that will be an independent, again, area. So that is our plan. The other plan is that we want to run a caregivers training. So training for assists. We are a training organization also. We run B.Eds and diploma and all of these courses. So we do want to run a caregivers training course at Ananda. And we plan to make it a residential one, so that it's more impactful, but we will figure it out. We're going to work on the curriculum. We already have some things, but we will have to work on the curriculum and stuff like that. Yeah, these are the two. Oh yeah, the other thing that we have, I don't know when we will do it, but the other plan is that eventually, taking the learnings from Ananda, we will have parents give their apartments to AFA, so that we can run small apartments in different parts of the city, where you can have 4 people with disability living with one overseeing person. So you'll have maybe 2 people who are pretty high functioning, and one who needs moderate support and one who needs a bit more support, with one person taking care of them and somebody who will help to do the cooking and cleaning. And of course, AFA will be the overseeing body. So that is the other plan that we have. Hope, future plan. How much we will get done all depends on how we work things out. So those are the future plans. And like I said, in everything that we do, ultimately, the most important part is the AFA philosophy. The whole philosophy of how we view people with disabilities, how we view people with autism, of acceptance, of no judgments. Those are the kind of things. Okay. All right. Now, you had asked some questions for And others have also asked, and some of it I've covered.
Can I show the photos before we go there?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I wish I could show some of the photos I had, but I can't because I don't know how. But show the photos you have.
Okay.
I can talk about what they are.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the side of the building, the apartment, not the best site.
Yeah.
This is the front of the building. That's the front door.
So on the ground floor, you have.
Yeah, you enter from here. You can see my arrow.
Yeah.
You enter from here, you go in, and this area is a large living area, and
Okay.
at the back is the what's it called, the kitchen, the open plan kitchen.
Right.
And there's one bedroom at the back here,
Okay.
and 4 bedrooms this side.
Okay.
And then upstairs here there are 4 bedrooms here, and there are 2 large bedrooms here in case some people want to share. Because in South Africa I had seen this lovely place where there were 6 girls. They would have 6 girls sharing a room, and it was like a little club. They had so much fun. And I actually saw that with 2 of the women at Ananda, and I was thinking this is a good idea to have. And in the middle we have a little living area in case the people upstairs want to sit.
Okay.
And up here there are again 4 bedrooms.
That's
and
the
a
second
small
floor?
area in the middle.
Up here meaning second floor?
Yeah, second floor where my arrow is. Is my arrow there? You can see.
Your arrow is not visible because I'm.
Oh, this is the second floor.
Okay.
There are 4 bedrooms here,
Okay.
with a small central room, and there are 4 bedrooms here and 2 bedrooms this side with a small central area, and there are 4 bedrooms here, 1 bedroom at the back, living area, it's a large living area, and the kitchen. And like this, these are old pictures, and the current pictures, you will see that on this balcony we have a punching bag, and it's a relaxation area. So if somebody's feeling beginning to get a little anxious, that's the area where they go. So there's a punching bag, there's a weight pulling thing that we put up there. So, but this is the building. Okay, so this is a road that leads from the residence to the vocational. So you have the people cycling, walking. They all walk independently. We don't chase after them to see what they are doing. So if they have been given 4 rounds to walk, they'll do 4 rounds. They'll walk up and down. 10 rounds, they'll walk up and down 10 rounds. And the picture at the back is just a picture of a bird. I just found it so pretty and I took it.
Beautiful.
This is when they're all going to work. They've got their backpacks,
Yeah.
and they're walking down to the workplace.
Right.
This guy is walking down. So a lot of these pictures are there on my Facebook page, and like I said, we open and this is for Bhai Dooj. No, is it Bhai Dooj? No, Rakhi, sorry. This is Rakhi. So a lot of the residents don't have siblings, but or sisters. Some of them do. So the sisters came and put Rakhi on everybody, and we did this to all the male residents. All the male team members.
Right. Okay.
So everybody had Rakhis. We called everybody, including our Mali and the guard. We tied Rakhis on everybody.
So nice.
Achha, this is one of the rooms in the vocational. So we have looms that they work on. So we have these small looms, and our woolen scarves are very popular. We sell a lot in the winter. And we also have a large loom on which we knit daris. I don't know if there it is. Yeah. This is a large loom on which we knit daris. And the other picture is just for, break time in the vocational. This is in the vocational. When they're having a little break, they're playing a game. This is just, we had some visitors and sitting and chatting with them.
You can see Neeraj there, very happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, they were doing some not yoga really. They were doing some activities, sensory activities. So, these activities are planned so they sit and lie on a ball, basically addressing various proprioceptive or vestibular or motor difficulties that they may have, right?
Yeah.
So this one is a picture. You can see the kitchen in the background. That counter on the other side is the kitchen.
Right.
You can see the sink over there.
Yeah.
And this is the dining area.
Okay.
And the dining table is longer now. We have increased it because there are more people. So this is the dining table. And we all sit down and eat.
Awesome. That was lovely, Mary.
Huh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing everything. And I think we can start with the questions, like you said.
Should I cover a little bit about, you had asked, actually, no, you asked the questions and I'll do it there. Yeah, don't worry.
So wherever you've already covered, I think I'll just jump that. But then we all know, as you shared with us, your whole struggle to get land. I also remember the brick project.
Yeah.
Where,
That was Jasola.
That was Jasola.
Yeah.
And then after that, when you started here, in terms of getting land, what was your struggle? How did you go about identifying the place first? You just said that somebody said, mentioned ashram, and then you all went to see the place, right?
Yeah.
How would you say a person should, go with the place? That we know that a lot of parents are going around looking at places in and around the city.
Huh.
So how did you land up spotting the place for Ananda?
Look, we took what we got. End of matter. We took what we got. We didn't have a choice. But I have to say something here. I recently had a parent who came to see Ananda. A lot of people do. I saw that Mufijul is on the, hi Mufijul, wherever you are. He's on the group. People from Bangladesh have also come, and all across the country. Some people had come from the south, some from Punjab, and of course,
we've got Pakistan also on the group. They're saying that hello, we are also there. It's not just
okay. So a lot of them had come to see Ananda, right? And so recently, I had this parent again who came with the same thing, and she said she wanted to see Ananda, and she said, I plan to start something. And she said she has the money, she has the resources, she has the land, and she said, I want to do this. So she runs a business. She's a very successful entrepreneur. So then I asked her that, have you thought it through? See, that's my first question when individual parents come and tell me, and a lot of parents do, that I want to start this. I say, have you thought it through? Because, getting the land or the money, and this mother, she has large property. She has the land and she has the money. But I said, it's the land and the money is the least of your difficulties. It really is the least of the difficulties. The one that is really, really difficult is getting the right people, getting the right systems. Because like I said, if you were in Denmark, or if you were in Germany, or if you were even in the US to an extent, not as much as there, but yes, even in the US, if you wanted to start something, you could hire. I have a friend in the US. She started a group home, right? And it's a really major thing that she's done. But she did not have to worry about who will work there, because she knew there were agencies from where she will get excellent
hire people.
Yeah, you don't get that in India. That is going to be the biggest challenge. That is why when we did the pilot and we stopped, because we realized that this is what we got to focus on. We have to make these people really well trained. They have to really understand autism. And no matter, of course I go and stay there and Preeti goes and stays there. But we are staying there to help them train, to become even stronger in their understanding. Because the personnel is if the parent who's starting, if the parent is somebody who already has a lot of knowledge of autism, has worked with people with autism, this mother who had come, she had not, right? She had no idea. I mean, she had a daughter, of course, and she'd worked with her daughter. But one kid with autism is one kid with autism.
Yeah. Running a setup is very different.
Very, and also you don't understand all other children. Absolutely. There's no way, because your daughter will be completely different from others. So I think the most important thing is that who are the people you're going to hire? who's the person who's going to do the training for you, right? So even now we have somebody who runs the group home, right? But we don't have one person who's heads them in terms of the services, because we've trained them all to become very strong. But nonetheless, we want to have one person who, because if we expand and we have another cottage,
You need so many more.
we need to have that one trained person. And now is the time to get that person, because everybody in the cottage is really, really well trained in the apartment. They are very, very strongly trained. They know what to do, right? So we need to get one more person who will be, maybe one of them will become eventually, who knows? But we want that one person, so that when we start, build another apartment, we will have somebody who will be training them, so that it's not always, see, because a place that will be always dependent on me does not make sense. Or always dependent on only Preeti, unless if Preeti decides to go and live there, that's different.
Right.
But we're going to have more people who are trained, who can take charge. And if you're starting something, you need to have somebody who's trained, who can take charge, who will be able to train everybody up. And of course, the other very important thing, have a very non-hierarchical mindset. ये बहुत बड़ा बात है. Because we just had a parent who came to us and wants to put his son in. And again, the son has this thing about people who are severe. So that too he has, because he's been to a regular school where they put it into their head that, people who are severe are not here, only the able are here. And on top of that, the father also says things like, आप वहाँ जाओगे ना, वहाँ पर वो low class के लोग रहते हैं, mix नहीं करना है. And he's a very able boy, and he wanted to do some kind of a, what should I say, enterprise. And the father ने बोला कि ये वाला enterprise करोगे ना, यहाँ पर ये सब जिस type के लोग रहेंगे ना, ये आपको cheat कर देंगे. The whole mindset being that if people are poor, they will cheat you. Right? So, those are very strong mindsets in India. Very, very strong mindsets, no matter what we do, whatever we say. So those are the mindsets that you cannot have in a group home, because who are the people you have those mindsets about? The people who are more marginalized. Hamara mindsets rehta hai about people who are marginalized, about people who are the other. So as a Hindu, I'll have a mindset about people who are Muslims. As a Muslim, I'll have mindsets about people who are Christians. As Christians, I'll have mindsets about people who are Jains. So, hamara ye so mindsets, judgments, belief systems, wo sab hoga. And we will have mindsets about people who are poor, right? We'll have mindsets about people from certain communities. Now, basically, iska matlab kya hai? Mindset about somebody who's other and who's marginalized. And who are the most marginalized people? Who are the most marginalized and other? Our children, people with disabilities. Because when you have that kind of a mindset in a home, in the long run, that will come to bite your kids. So that is one of the most important things to have, to make sure that you have a completely non-hierarchical place. Because that will ensure that your people with disabilities always have a place where they are respected and treated with dignity. So that is one more. And one more thing. As a parent group, what you want to do? Something that we've thought of, abhi tak implement nahi kiye hai. Once we have more numbers, we are going to make sure that we will make it a rule. वो जो MOU sign करता है, we'll get them to sign another one. Every parent will have to come and stay 2 weeks at Ananda. It will be compulsory. Because if they stay there 2 weeks, then they can keep an eye on things, right? The people who are working there know there is a parent here. So that's a great way of ensuring that systems keep running properly, that, people are treated well and stuff like that. So as a parent group, that's something that you all want to think about, something that we have in our mind. As when we have enough people, don't have enough people right now, and we haven't made it lifelong yet. Yeah. Once we make it lifelong, that's something that we've thought about that we will definitely do.
Going back to the earlier parent, this gentleman, how did you say no to him? Did you say no
Two?
to this parent?
Nay, nay, we didn't say no.
You
He
didn't say
wants to come. Now I just got a call, he wants to send his son.
okay.
We'll change his mindset.
Okay.
उसका दिमाग चेंज कर देंगे. He'll start thinking differently. They've just got in touch. आज ही call आया that they want to come and take a look at the place.
So my next question is from there, that obviously it's so people dependent, especially the initial group of people. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the initial group of people who would have thought about it, and you said, that these were the first 4 parents who we started thinking about this 20 years ago, and then it built on, and you went ahead. When you actually started thinking and putting down your thoughts and started writing down what you want in Ananda, in terms of facilities, in terms of what should be available, how did you come about that? Like, what should be there in the building? Because there are, like you said, there'll be somebody who says, I want a jacuzzi, and someone who says, I need a swimming pool, and someone who says it has to be air conditioned, it's Delhi, it'll be hot. There'll be somebody who says, I need a warmer. So how did you go about those decisions?
That's a very, very important question. Okay, so one of the things about Ananda is that, we already have an organization with a lot of people working there. So what should go there was something that I learned from my team. We were a great team. So they all had their ideas. Kya hona chahiye, kya nahi hona chahiye. So that was the advantage I had. We had a team who gave their ideas. And a lot of the other questions you are asking are things that we are still thinking on the go. So for instance, Delhi is a hot place. And initially I had thought, koi zarurat nahi hai, AC vesi ka zarurat nahi hai. We will just have, coolers and all that kind of stuff. But then we discussed, and then we came to the understanding that if anybody wants an AC there, the family will have to put the AC in. We will not put in ACs. We are not going to spend money on AC. And when they put the AC, it will have to be an inverter AC, जो electricity उतना खर्चा नहीं करेगा.
हाँ.
Bill तो हमें pay करना होगा ना.
Yes.
Right? So we said AC डालेंगे.
Okay.
And let's say, for instance, my son is there, I haven't put in an AC. I don't know next year डालेंगे या नहीं, because Neeraj, I brought him up in a way, AC है तो खुश है, नहीं है तो खुश है. Right? So I brought him up like that. But I may put an AC because now he's quite old. He's 40. By the time he's 50, as you get older, things can get a bit difficult. But currently, he doesn't have an AC in his room. But there are lots of parents who have put an AC. So that's one of the things that we say. Similarly, with a geyser. In the winter in Delhi, you have to use a geyser. It's very hot, very cold. So we tell the parents that you'll have to put it in. Anything extra, we have nice rooms. I'm sorry I can't show you the pictures because, like I said,
Yeah.
मेरे पास दिखा नहीं सक रहे हैं. We have really nice rooms. We have really nice, bathrooms attached. They're really, really nice when I say that. But, and we want our people to have good lives, right? But we suggest that the other thing that we do suggest to parents, कुछ parent अपने आप सोचा है, कुछ parent को बोले हैं, कुछ parent agree नहीं किए हैं, that's fine. Is that when your child is coming, try and give furniture and furnishings that your child is familiar with.
Yeah.
जैसे कि उसको लगेगा ये मेरा घर है. Yeah, but हर parent ऐसे नहीं सोचते हैं. कुछ parent अपने आप ही आकर हमें ऐसे बोला that I want to do this, and we said we agree because you want your child to feel this is my place.
Yeah.
I have my familiar things around me.
Right.
So those are the other things that we say. Okay. But of course, बहुत parents बहुत कुछ मानते हैं. And one of the things we say is that we will put in things that we can give to everybody. If you are asking something only for your child,
then you will have to.
And we will not be able to afford to give to everyone, तब हम कर नहीं सकते.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's a super call. Yeah, I guess.
हम जो भी देंगे, it has to be for everyone.
Yeah.
We will not do favorite. Neeraj doesn't get one thing extra that others don't get. In fact, I have no idea what he gets, to be honest, because I don't go to check. Right? I trust them. And they know that everybody will get the same thing. Everybody. Nobody will get something extra. So that's something we try to do.
So there's a question for you that what is the kind of structure that you have set up at Ananda? Is it a trust? How is it? How do parents have to enroll in, or the child? Like you mentioned that the child has to have the adult has to have a guardian.
Yeah.
But beyond that, what? Like the money goes to what?
Okay. So see, AFA is a registered society. Because when I started, I had no idea. I'd made a registered society. So Ananda is not a separate trust. We consider making it a trust. We don't know. We haven't thought about it yet, right? However, currently the way we do is that, we've been thinking about this, and I think the place that we are currently in now, we feel that families who want to put their children in lifelong we will advise them to form a personal trust, right? So they will set up a personal trust, and you know that better than anybody else what a personal trust is. So this is what currently what we are thinking, that they'll set up a personal trust, where the family has the money. It's all there in the child's name. The family can spend from it as they want.
Right.
All that the personal trust does is ensures that AFA keeps getting the money it needs on a regular basis.
Right.
Now, one of the points that has been made to us recently is that what if the family decides to put their child in there and then dissolve the trust and disappear? So I don't know if that can happen.
So here I'll share with you a recent, um, a family who had approached me about they have this adult is in Aadhaar at Badlapur and gets a pension. The brother takes care of this adult and they have no parents. So the brother approached me and said, Chitra, I am the guardian. Okay. So what can I do to see that this money is available to Aadhaar on a regular basis? So I gave him two options. I said, first, find who else you can make a guardian along with you. Second, let's set up a trust.
Exactly.
And check with Aadhaar if they can become a trustee on the trust, on your private trust.
So, Chitra, I have a question of you. This is something that we have been trying to find out and we haven't got a response. Can a society become a trustee?
Yes.
Nobody has been able to answer that.
I'll help you on that.
Sorry?
I will help you on that.
Okay. Because I know that one trust cannot be a trustee on another trust.
Yeah.
But can a registered society be a trustee on a trust? Many parents have asked us because they want to make AFA a trustee.
So it will have to come on personal capacity. So there are various options possible. We'll have to check that out.
Right. So, we had said that if AFA could be a trustee, then maybe the secretary of AFA could be on the trust or something like that. But whether AFA can be a trustee is something we still don't know. We've still not been able to find out. So if you can help with that.
Yeah, I will. Sure.
And I agree completely with you that having a trust for that young man is the best, because I do know siblings who everybody thought were loving and caring have eventually taken away the money.
Yeah. No, so we have to ensure that the money is available for Ananda.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we'll have to try that out for sure. The next question coming to you is, you also already shared about some rules that you have about having for anybody who wants to get into Ananda. So is there something that you have specifically about how should the adult be? What are you expecting in terms? Can it be a boy? Can it be a girl? These are the questions which are coming up.
Any ability level, any gender, it does not matter. If the person has a disability and is 18, and if you have the place, then we can't.
Right.
If you have place, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the other thing that people often ask us, because this is a question that parents ask us when they're putting their child in, can we come and visit? We say, of course. It's your child, of course you can. Parents feel that if they put them, they will not be allowed to visit. We said, no, you can come and visit anytime you want. Right? So just let us know so that we put it on that person's schedule, so they expect you to come, right? So that there's predictability for that person. But otherwise, parents can visit anytime they want.
Super. Is there any kind of government monitoring?
Government policy,
Monitoring.
monitoring.
Anything? Nothing right now. No, no such.
Unless if you are running a group home under the National Trust Gharonda scheme, and under the Gharonda scheme you're getting money from them, then there is some kind of nominal supervision, but other than that there isn't. Which way?
Right. Yeah, in fact, Aparna had shared here that there was another organization in Dehradun, and they had tied up between both their organizations how they would, kind of set up an internal audit system between them.
Right.
So nothing from the government, but we have an internal arrangement.
Yeah, that is something we had also talked about with various organizations. But एक क्या उसमें problem होता है? Now, if I know you very well, if I go to say FFA or to an organization I know very well, I'll say, I know they're running well, and I won't bother to look properly.
Actually look at it and audit it the way
it happens.
Akila is asking you.
Sorry?
Akila is asking, succession planning for the management is the main concern, and I would like to understand more on Mary's plan.
See, it's not succession planning for the management that we have, but what we do have is we have the whole AFA organization behind it. So we have all our systems. If there is, we have, we mean succession planning of people at Ananda is what you're asking, right? Akila?
The management, yeah.
The management, yeah. So supposing if the person who's now taking care of the group home, if she says, I want to leave now, so then our people who are handling our HR will swing into action, start identifying people. We may not have somebody, she will give 2 months notice, and then we may take another 2 months to get somebody. But in the meantime, somebody else will step in, and we'll get somebody else in place. We'll get somebody else, we train that person up and put them in. So because we have the organizational structure behind us, that helps.
Awesome. There's a question from Mitu Day. Hi Mary, when you got the building plan sanctioned, did you term Ananda as residential unit or hostel unit? What was the terminology?
I would not recall exactly, but I think it said residential. And with us, we did face a lot of challenges because in addition to the residential thing, we got some government, the government told us you will have to put in this and you'll have to build that. So we were told to do all kinds of stuff. And if you want the land, you just do it. So now that it is all done, now we are running it, the way we think is the best way. But yes, we did say residential, absolutely. It was a residential building.
Rachna Khare is asking you, Mary, in the absence of state support, how do you ensure that future financial needs and healthcare needs are taken care of after parents are no more? Any model which exists at Ananda or anything that you suggest to parents? Second, do the residents go on vacation? Third, do you have separate accommodation for girls and boys? Fourth, how do you monitor the place, camera, etc.? I'll give it you one-on-one. So first one is state support, and the financial part of it.
Yeah, so I didn't understand the first bit.
Future financial needs and healthcare needs are taken care of after the parents are no more. I guess it's the parents' responsibility, I think.
Yeah, so that's why the trust, where the money will come regularly to AFA.
Yeah. So any model which exists at Ananda or anything that you suggest to parents is what she was asking.
You know what? There really is no model for this. There really isn't.
Yeah.
Right. Because what we are trying to do in India, not just Ananda, all of us, what we are trying to do, there is no model for this. It is a work in progress.
Yes.
And I'll be very honest, I often have sleepless nights thinking about, and a lot of people think that, oh, she doesn't have to worry because, ye hai, wo hai, etc. I really spend sleepless nights worrying I know that we have the organization structure behind us, but abhi bhi ye karna hai, abhi bhi ye karna hai, abhi bhi ye karna hai, the small things that need to be done. I worry about that because we still haven't got it all sealed and locked up.
I agree.
It is still a work in progress.
Yep.
And setting a group home, believe me, is a real tough one. It is not a tough one if you're setting up and running something as long as you're alive. That is not a tough one. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
हम जितने दिन है run कर लेंगे. That's not a tough one at all. With my eyes shut, I can go and run 2 more. But if I'm setting up something which I want to continue beyond me, after me,
correct.
That is the tough one, right? Because while and I'm speaking for myself, as somebody, I'm trained. I know how to train people. I know what to do. So I can go and start a group home and I can train the people and do all of that, right? But when I'm not there, what's going to happen? So that is the thing, to get those systems robustly in place. You have everything down there in writing, documented, so that we know what is going to happen. Of course, a lot of the stuff is there already because we have Jasola running, right? And we have many of the systems already in place, right? So we just have to.
I think it's just a matter of time, Mary. I think you're going to have it.
Yeah, we're going to make sure it's there for Anand.
Yeah. The other question she had was, do the residents go on vacation and do you have separate accommodation for girls and boys?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I couldn't share all the pictures. Our residents go for outings. They go for outings in the neighborhood. They are invited to shadis and, first meal eating of the child and all kinds of stuff. They go out to eat out at, just like all people do, you go out to eat at a restaurant and stuff like that.
Right.
We have not had this thing yet, a vacation, but we have planned one. If the COVID thing is sorted by then, in January, we are planning to travel down to Rajasthan for a vacation.
Wow.
But it all depends on
COVID.
COVID. Yeah. Yes, so our intention is that every year there'll be one vacation.
Right.
And otherwise, we have it that in a month, I forget how many times they will have an outing. So currently, of course, all that came to a stop since April. But we have all of that. Yes. Oh, and girls and boys. Yeah, we have girls. We don't have separate for girls and boys like that. We have girls, and parents have seen that. We've shown them this is how they will stay. What we do plan to do is the top floor, the 4 bedrooms. We thought we'd make it a little girls' den kind of thing. Because girls, they get together and they do stuff. As a woman, I know that we do it. So we want to do that, but we haven't done it yet. But otherwise, we have girls and boys all living together. They don't share rooms.
Yeah.
They don't separate rooms. But it's like in a joint family. You have girls living there, boys living there. We do not have CCTV cameras in bedrooms.
Right.
That is something we will not have. That's something we make it clear to every parent who comes, because it's not dignified. If somebody had a CCTV camera in my bedroom and I'm having my private time, I know a lot of our kids, they have their private time, and somebody sitting and watching me, I think that's not very dignified. We do have CCTV cameras in the public spaces, and that helps us. That's not really to keep an eye on our team, but if we know that somebody's disturbed, we check raat ko theek se soya tha kya nahi, what did they do, where did they go. So CCTV camera helps us to make sure that if somebody is disturbed or something, what has happened, what has not happened, etc.
Dave is asking a specific question: what are the financial implications for the parents? In the sense, what are the fees?
Yeah.
So you want to share this here, or should we send that out as an email? How much?
I can share, but I will say wrong numbers.
Right.
I don't handle that. It is somebody else who handles. We are an organization, so there are things I handle, there are things somebody else handles, and there are 3 people who handle Ananda, and we are completely different.
So we will share the exact link where they can go and check it out, and understand the exact figure. Parul has asked about, please could you share your experience on how the men and women at Ananda interact, whether they could form relationships if they so wish. Please also share if and how everyone is a part of the daily, weekly, etc. decisions made for food, activities, etc.?
Okay. So one is whether they can have a relationship. Well, if it happens that two of our residents want to have a relationship, why not? If they want to, stay together or get married or something, we'd be happy to do that. They can live in the group home, happily married, just like people do in their own homes. So yes, absolutely, we are very open to that, right? Because I think people with autism have the right to the same life experiences that are not just autism, disabilities, have right to the same life experiences that all of us do. So if any of them want to, absolutely, why not? In fact, see, I mentioned about private time. Many of our young people we know, and that's a part of our assessment. They have their time when, they masturbate, and we call it private time, to use a euphemistic term with all of them. That's the word we use. And they have the private times. When we figure out when they want to take the private time, it's in their schedule. We don't write private time in the schedule, but there are certain times it's their time to be in their room. And they've all learned, nobody takes private time in public. There have been occasions where one person got up in the middle of the night and was taking private time in a public space. But then we that's what the CCTV cameras for. We observed for several days. We tried to figure out what was happening. It took us a long time to figure everything out. And now it has stopped. Now the person takes private time in the room. So they all take their private time and they all do it in the room.
Awesome. Very nice. So, there is this question coming again about, what you shared on the future plan, which sounded very, very nice to me in terms of helping people set up, flats in a flat for 4 residents, right? So there is Mr. Krishna was saying, uh, can you please share more on the idea of having small homes with 3 to 4 people with 2 assists trained under you for
Yeah.
people who would donate their house?
Yeah.
How should they think about it? And
See,
you have like a think tank happening there.
So, see, this is something like, I mentioned that I've traveled all over the world and seen a lot of homes. So I've seen homes like in a rural area, right, where they're all doing farming and stuff like that. I've seen homes in cities. I've seen homes in small towns where there are 12 of them living and people supporting them. And I've seen apartments where I've seen this apartment in London where there were 6 adults living there. And they had this, and of course, those were all people with Asperger's syndrome, right? And so, that made me think that this is something that we should also think about. And I personally live in a small apartment. I have an apartment with 3 bedrooms. And I thought to myself that I didn't think of it this for Neeraj, but I just thought to myself that whether Neeraj lives here or Neeraj could live at Ananda. But this apartment, when I'm dead and gone, it could be a place where I could have 4 people living with 1 support person. Right. So we have the 3 bedrooms, 2 could share, and 1 support person. Or the living room also, we could carve out another space if maybe another one wants a separate room. And have somebody, the support person living there, and AFA, a part of AFA's thing would be just like we keep an eye on Ananda, we keep an eye on here also to make sure how it is run. Some of the people could be going out to work because see, at Ananda also our aim is we have the workplace. I talked about the workplace, but we also aim that some of our people will go out to work. Just like at Jasola, we have people, we are putting them in employment outside. At Ananda also, we want to put people in employment outside, right? And the people who live in the apartments some of them could be going out to work in the community. Some could go and work at Jasola or another, disability organization nearby. It's Spastic Society maybe, at Adi, right? So that is the thought that they live there and with one, and you don't really, if you have 2 Aspies in the place and 1 support person, you can have 2 other people with different needs.
Okay. I know. I totally get what you're saying. Yeah. Vijay is asking you, hi, will you be organizing small camps where children can come and experience Ananda on a week or 2 basis as a step towards independent living? Along with this, I'm clubbing another question um, from a parent asking that how can a child be prepared for this kind of accommodation? That's from
Very
Henry.
good question. Excellent question. I'll first cover the camp one. That's a great idea. See, we do have people who's young adults who come for a short stay for the family to figure out whether they will, how they will do. Right? So we do have that. But we haven't thought of a camp, but we could think about it. That sounds like a good idea. We have place where they could come and stay. So we could have a bunch of maybe, 7, 8, 10 people come and stay and experience living away from the parents. So thanks for the idea, great one. But the more important one, what is the second one which I thought said was a great idea? I forgot. The
It
second
was
question.
how early should a child be, how to prepare a child for living
Yeah.
independently.
The parents.
See,
Yeah.
this is a real senior moment. I just said what a great question and I promptly forgot.
Nice blank out. Yeah.
So the thing is that it's very, very, very important that when I'm planning to send somebody to stay in a group home, to introduce the whole topic as a positive experience. We've had experience with, I know at least one, where it was not presented like that. And we didn't have any problems with that, but the young person had, because the young person was feeling sad about it, right? So prepare the individual as, guess what? It's like we often talk about preparing them to sleep in a separate room. I mean, that's the first thing. If you all haven't, anybody hasn't done it, you've got to start on that, or a separate bed at least, if not a separate room. So, and we say that, you know what, you're going to have your own room, or you're going to have your own bed, or usme hum naya sheets lagayenge, you're going to have new curtains and all that kind of stuff. Make it seem like a nice, exciting, fun thing. So the same thing about sending them to a group home. पता है वहां पर ना बहुत सारे young people हैं आपकी तरह, friends होंगे आपके, you'll have so much fun, बहुत कुछ करने का है, they play games, and so make it seem like an exciting experience. Have a calendar. We talk about a calendar. Chitra will know, all the AFP people will know, we keep talking about calendars. Mark on the calendar on the day that they will have to go. That this is the day you'll be going, so that they're prepared internally for it. Help the child pack their own suitcase कि क्या क्या लेकर जाना है, हम क्या लेकर जाएंगे. So preparation is very important, and it is preparation that determines how quickly the individual becomes happy over there. They will become happy. मगर कितना टाइम लगेगा या नहीं लगेगा वो डिपेंड करेगा हम प्रिपरेशन कितना पॉजिटिवली किए हैं उसके ऊपर.
Absolutely. Mary, what is the longest duration of a short stay arrangement?
See, we had said it will be a month, right? But we have people staying more than a month also.
Okay.
We do have people staying more than a month also.
Okay. And
we've had people stay for a week also.
Okay.
And 5 days. वैसा भी हुआ है.
And to go back to the earlier one, in continuation, how do you handle separation anxiety when the individuals come over?
You know what? The separation anxiety is more in the parents than the person with autism or disability. Because, if you give them a really well-structured environment, where there is lots and lots
very happy.
They're very happy. They're very happy. It's the parents who have separation anxiety. And honestly, it's not separation anxiety, but I'm surprised at how much I miss Neeraj. I'm surprised at myself. I mean, I've lived so much without him. I traveled without him. But now that he doesn't live here, I really miss him a lot. So it's the parents who have separation anxiety. Neeraj is happy. He's very happy.
So the question again is, will there be an option for parents moving in with the young adult? If yes, then will it be integrated with the current home or separate? If not, could you give reasons why? This is Barua from Kolkata.
Right. So parents living with the individuals, that's something we absolutely don't want to have. The whole idea, why do we have the group? Why do we have the group home? So that the young adult learns to live without the parent. And of course has a fruitful and safe place of stay. If I'm going to be staying there, how is that going to help at all? Right? So then the other thing that happens is that when the parents come and stay with the young adult, the parent gets very fixated on what the individual is doing. Do you want the individual to get integrated and be a part of that place? Or do you want the individual to be clinging to you?
Sure. Absolutely.
So this whole concept of the parents staying, in the beginning when that cooperative thing started, I said that at AFA, we had decided on the cooperative, everybody gave
Yes,
them.
yes. Yeah.
In my head, I kept thinking, sab koi bol raha hai, so I go along with it. Because AFA is not mine. It belongs to the organization. So I went along with it. But I kept thinking, why do we want to have the parents staying there? How is that going to help? Right? And a lot of the places are like that parents bhi wahan par rahega. Now parents bhi jab wahan par rehta hai, I actually know of at least one place and possibly a second one. I don't have the full information. One that is kind of broken up already.
Okay.
But when you have the parents staying there, no matter how much we say that we will work together and we'll do this together, hum sab support karenge apne aap ko, we get fixated on our own kids and what we think is right. Hai na? And then there's a friction.
You don't know where you're crossing the line at all. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a lot of friction. Nahi hota hai.
Vijayashree is asking you, can the residents have their own phone? And can parents talk to their children whenever they feel like?
Of course. Of course. It's a home. It's a home. Of course they can have that. One of our residents has a phone. Right? They can have their own phone. They can have their own iPad.
Whatever. Yeah.
In fact, one of the parents asked us, can she have her own TV? So I said, I will let you know. And because I don't take decisions.
Right.
It's AFA that takes the decision.
The whole body together.
And then everybody said, of course she can have her own TV if she wants, but the parent will have to pay for the thing because, there is so much. We have a common TV, but if she wants a TV, a common TV hai.
But
if she wants it in a room, and if the parent is willing to pay for the cost of the thing every month, why not? Why not?
Cool. Again, question from Rachna. Is there any prerequisite for the admission? Like age, resident of Delhi, age of parents? Are these prerequisites?
No, we have had residents from other places also. They were short term, and there is one who's been on the books for a long time, but because of the COVID, it didn't happen. From other places. Nothing to do with age. Anybody can come in.
Can the parent not stay in any guest room? In any guest room?
In the guest room.
Who is visiting? Can the parent stay in the
We
guest
do want to have that. We do want to have that. We do want to have that. Right now I said we're still at a, we consider ourselves novices. We are in an early stage. But we do want parents. We will have parents come and stay for two weeks. That's going to be compulsory.
Right.
And if a parent is coming from out of town and is visiting, we will have a place for them to stay.
Yeah, right. Mary, will you be putting advertisements for training caregivers, or will you take only the local people?
We have very few local people working with us. The assists are all people from other parts of the country who've come and who work with us. Some 1 or 2, 3 from Delhi and all from outside.
A lovely suggestion from Shubhangi. Can you think of a sibling camp too? Siblings spending a few days at Ananda.
Yeah, of course. Siblings can come and spend if they want to. Yeah.
Prasanna saying, do you arrange for placement for kids who have been staying with you and who acquire employable skills in your vocational training?
Yeah, I said that. I covered it earlier. I think you missed it. That is something that we do already. As AFA, as an organization, we put people in employment. And the same will be true for Ananda. We have a couple of people who are in the pipeline who are coming in, who we do believe will be able to go into employment later on.
Okay, Rukshana has raised her hand and she wants to have a word with you. Rukshana, you can please unmute yourself and talk.
Just wanted to say thank you, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
Bye. And it's been a wonderful, your presentation lecture, because you have given us so many ideas, because I have been trying to work for a group home and have been exploring different places in Pakistan. And I just think this is the way how we will start, that yes, you have to have a full plan, not just abhi karna hai, but it'll take years to sort of gel with the help of parents. Thank you. That's it. Love to you.
Thank
And
you. Who's speaking to you, Rukshana?
Yeah. Veena, you can unmute yourself and talk. Babita,
Chitra, even you could unmute them. But
sorry?
even you could unmute them. I have,
Yeah,
Veena,
no, I have already.
okay.
Yeah.
Veena, you can unmute yourself and talk.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Veena, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful session. I have seen Ananda when we came to Delhi for that 1 month.
Y'all did, nah? Yeah, I was thinking y'all had visited.
Yeah, but
Where
at that
do you live now?
time there was nobody staying over there. So
Okay.
so we'd love to come and see after all this COVID is over, and
Do come.
But wonderful, wonderful session. So many ideas and so many for us to really take decisions and move ahead.
Veena, thinking caps on again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ideally, what you all want to do is maybe tie up with, I don't know if there is any school or somebody who runs services who can help you train your people.
But more than that, Mary, I like your idea where you said specifically in Mumbai where we have more of flat systems. So people who are residing close by could take up that idea where adults, 4 or 5 adults staying together and taking things ahead.
Right. But you know what, to do that also, it can work out very expensive when you have fewer people, right? And for us, it would work okay because we don't need to have a separate chartered accountant. We don't need to have a separate, anybody separately planning things for us, because the organization will be doing that. That's right. So the apartment will be just one of the things that we'll be doing. So there'll be a lot of shared resources that we can use. But when you're starting an apartment, you maybe want to pick up a larger number, 7 youngsters, because it'll make it cost effective. Because the smaller the numbers, the more expensive it gets.
Right.
Because not only the person, see, I was talking about somebody who stays there and somebody who will come and cook and clean. But if you're just only doing that, you got to have somebody who will take in charge of the financial aspect, plan your finances, somebody who will keep an eye on, the organizational aspect of the whole thing. So there'll be lots of, the paying the tax for the apartment, for instance, paying the electricity bill, because the person who's staying there can't do all of that. So there is organizational things. So for us to do it, we'll have lots of shared resources that we can dip into. But when you're just doing it as the only one you're doing it, then you want to think of more than 4, because otherwise it becomes very expensive.
True.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But at least it got us thinking though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why if you have somebody who's already, I don't know if Umeed would be interested in something like this, but something like that who would, train your
Of the training.
backup. Yeah.
The support staff.
Parul, you want to say something?
Yeah, not just Mary, thank you once again for all of this. And so excited to come and see how it is. I've been following all the photographs on Facebook, etc. And again, all those memories came up today. So really looking forward to the COVID thing ending and coming there again.
Thank you. We are looking to the COVID thing ending also. Poor residents, they went for their first drive. They just went for a drive recently. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lucky because there's so much of land that they went for walks and they were outdoors. So that was very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Anand, Paramita, you all are on, you all can unmute yourself if you wish to talk. And
Hey, Mary. Babita here.
Oh, hi,
Yeah,
Babita.
Oh, it is wonderful hearing you as always. And like Parul and Veena said, I think we'll all come together to visit Ananda.
Yeah, come and visit. Hire a
Yeah,
bus, bring all your kids and come and visit.
oh, of course. I mean, like, we are coming with kids only. Veena and I have been talking about this for such a long time.
Yes, absolutely.
Sharma, you want
We can
Already
have
excited.
an Mary, we can have an FFA short stay at Ananda.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Ah,
Okay, I have Mr. C.P. Sharma who would like to also talk to you, Mary. Meanwhile, I'm running a poll. Request everyone to kindly please give your feedback to us. Mr. Sharma, you can unmute yourself and talk.
Yes, just 1 minute. Not able to do that.
No, we can hear you.
Acha.
Yeah, you can talk.
This one that model I had prepared. I had written one model in which some kids, some 9 kids, they stay in one 3 BHK. The
Okay.
model I had shared with Ms.Merry Barua also. I
Yeah.
had sent to her also, and I waited her to give comment and her suggestion on that.
Okay, so we'll reshare it and definitely request for a feedback on that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Indrani, you want to say something? You can unmute yourself. Sunita, you can unmute yourself. Sunita Lele. Rajendra. Mr.
Yeah, hi Mary.
Hi.
Hi, thank you. This was a very wonderful session, and to be very frank, most of which are of very great concern when you are planning to start and residence. I think those were answered. Even though at personal level, I would say still a very big job to start one residential for our kids. But yes, it was very, very helpful, and I'm very grateful for you sharing your ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a privilege. Thank you.
Mary, hello Mary. It was a wonderful session.
Hi.
I'm Sunita from Pune.
Okay, hi, Sunita. Hi.
Mary, the idea which you propagated just now regarding the flat, which can be also used as a residential facility, I tried that. It works well, but as you rightly said, it becomes very expensive. So associating with an NGO helps in 2 ways. One is for the vocational services and also for supervision. Because in India, we don't have too many. So otherwise, MSWs can be a great help. So yes, it's a workable model, but as you rightly pointed out, it's more expensive.
You're right.
Sunita is also setting up a facility at Pune. They are also in a work in progress.
Yeah, I know. There are lots of them coming up,
Yeah.
which is wonderful, really.
Yeah.
That when individual parents start doing it, I tell them, go and find an organization that has experienced, a
Right.
great of this. Don't just start it like that.
Perfect. Mr. Gautam Ghosh, you wanted to ask something? Mr. Gautam, you can speak. Okay.
Okay, if he's taking time, this is Anand here.
Yeah, Anand, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi, Mary. And it was a great presentation. And I just want to share with others that when we had been to Ananda and to Adar with Kabir, as Mary was describing just now, he just slipped in from day one, moment one. it was his place. He could just be there and was completely following whatever was there because of the predictability and the acceptance attitude and everything. That was really one of the amazing thing that strikes, and that was the pilot period, which was in another building, I believe.
Yeah.
So even then, and second thing, I could see that how y'all were planning for minutest things like whether a person will be served or will serve himself or कुछ भी होगा तो small things were thought of from a larger perspective, and people would discuss and come to certain conclusion. I just love that whole, as you said, non-hierarchical, horizontal, participatory method of doing things. So I just thought of mentioning both these things that I observed. There were so many other things, but just in short, highlighting two. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mary, there's a question. Thank you, Adarsh. Mary, there's a question. Sorry, am I interrupting? Sorry.
No. I just said thank you, Anand. Very important point.
Yeah, thank you so much. Mary Krishna is asking, can we enroll our child now and join, say, after 10 more years? How do you answer that?
It's not a place with endless space. You don't need to do that. I'm sure there'll be lots of other places that will come up in 10 years' time. So you don't really need to do that. Right? This is for people who need it now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Mary, there's a family from Dubai, Bobby. Bobby Anil, I have you can talk, please.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. Mary, this is fantastic. We've been looking all over the world for something like this, and you conceptualized it beautifully, and it's all coming together so well. We're seeing some families who are doing so well with you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our question is as follows. Vikram is 27 or 28 years old, and we came to a point where we were wondering whether a home of some sort was suitable and at what point. But last year we had a bit of a miracle because Vicky was totally uncommunicative. We didn't know whether he had any intelligence at all. And last year we took him to Atlanta to try out RPM. If you're familiar with it, it's the...
of course, she is familiar with everything. Yeah.
I'm sure. So after Soma, and then we did about 6 months on our own, and Vikram is now communicating fairly eloquently, I must say. He even writes poems now, and he's very expressive, not just functional communication, but extremely, emotional in his content as well. And he's able to tell us things like it hurts here, or he's hungry and stuff like that, which is very operational communication. But beyond that, he's able to tell us how he feels, and he's a joy, an absolute joy. He does have his tantrums and frustrations that he brings out once in a way. Our question really is, how do you accommodate, a boy maybe who's 1 in 200 amongst autistics that we come across, who can actually communicate using a spelling board, but with RPM the challenge being that he typically communicates only with a communication partner, either with mom or dad. He does that. How do you incorporate that? Do you train your people in RPM? It's not 100% certain that he will communicate with them. These are anomalies and not the norm. How do you take into account these kind of challenging situations, which are kind of hutke from the normal student that you have?
I really don't know if I have an answer to that. I think what often happens is that for a lot of people with autism, we do not explore enough the usage of AACs when they're younger. We just take it, you said that, you used the term, which it slipped my mind now, something about that he didn't have at all or something like that. There is no individual who does not have a mind or a thought. There is no individual. What often happens is that just because people with autism don't speak, we make an assumption that they have nothing to communicate, and then we do not try any kind of AACs with them. So then what happens is that, you know, if they are only communicating with the parent, then that becomes a challenge, and you have to be able to move it to an AAC. And I don't know if you've checked out, what's it called? What's the place called? In the East Coast, they do a lot of facilitated communication and were badmouthed a lot for that. But basically it is AAC, and it helps them to use not just, you know, simple AAC, but complex AACs and stuff like that.
So are you talking of Elizabeth Wassler?
No.
So,
Douglas Bicklin.
Right. So he got trained with Soma and with Elizabeth's team. And we did that for about 6 months in Atlanta. And we
No, not Atlanta. This is Douglas Bicklin in the East Coast, not Atlanta.
Yeah. Right. So we did that for about 6 months, and we've come back to Dubai, and Bobby and I continue to work with him. So we kind of bringing him up to a speed on academics. He's doing 11th, 12th grade math now. He's fairly interested in all kinds of esoteric stuff, including Vedanta on one hand and science on the other. But the question is, how do you integrate guys who are kind of challenged, very challenged in some ways? He still doesn't he's potty trained, but he doesn't do potty on his own. He doesn't wash himself, for instance, or can't wear his shoes. On one hand, he's like that, but intellectually, he seems to be quite evolved. How do you handle guys like that? Because he needs constant stimulation. He's always, listening to YouTubes and TED Talks and stuff like that. Intellectually very stimulated, physically fairly challenged. How do you, I noticed you had a structured kind of environment where they do stuff. He's not able to do a whole lot. He's gross and motor challenged as well. But he's intellectually very, very sound. Just trying to understand how you handle an anomaly, if I may call it that.
The thing is that you will have to prioritize based on what you want, right? It's the priorities. In fact, I did a talk yesterday on this. You will have to prioritize what you think is more important for him to be able to make a life for himself. And then you will have to focus on that. And that is something you will have to decide. What is it that you think your son needs to be able to survive you and continue and have a meaningful life? And then you will have to take a decision.
Yeah, he's actually started communicating only now. So I think he will be able to tell us what he wants. Right now, he's very fond of writing poetry. He's written 2 poems, which even we need a dictionary to understand. And you also mentioned we did try all his life. We've been trying different methods of communication. Even as a child, we were went to Los Angeles and we worked there with various therapists. But everybody, including Ivor Loaz's clinic, everybody thought that he was severely challenged cognitively. Only now, when he was 27, we realized he's kind of
you're right.
Yeah, so
you're right.
A contradiction. And when you look at him, he appears to be challenged, but intellectually, but he's not.
See, that's the point I was making, that first of all, we don't believe anybody is that challenged that they can't learn, right? That's the bottom line. And I know that Ivor Loaz's clinic will say various things, but that's not the bottom line. The bottom line, therefore, is that while he's doing all of this, you want to also help him with his ADLs. Use structure. Give him use a lot of structure, and that is something. And I talked, earlier in my talk, I mentioned that some of our people had come, they once were labeled as severe, right? And some of the people participating have seen them, and they thought that they will never be able to learn anything. But they can, right? They have not been able to communicate the way your son is communicating, but they've learned their daily living skills. They've learned how to take care of themselves. And those are the things that you want to really work on, because the communication he's just started, he will eventually start communicating with others also, right? But the point is, the other things are the ones that you also simultaneously want to look at, because those will be very important, no matter where he stays, whether he stays with a sibling or he goes to stay in a home or somewhere, those will also be very important. But since he's communicating, he will move to communicating independently as well. He will not continue to need your help only.
So that leads us to a question, if I may.
I'm sorry, we are actually running completely out of time.
Fair enough. We can take this offline
I
separately.
think we should
That's
take it
fine.
offline directly with Mary because
Sure.
these are very
Sure.
special person.
Please, thank you so much.
Sure,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Most welcome. Thank you so much, Mary. We've overshot by half an hour. I know you've been unwell, but you still have done this for us. Real huge thanks. And as usual, it's been so fantastic listening to you. Darshana, you want to say something?
So thank you, and always helping me to keep on thinking. Thank you so much for just doing this for us, always.
Thanks a ton.
Thank you
Mary.
so much. Thank you.
A lot of people are going to be listening to this, and it will give them real, I mean, a lot of clarity about what is it that they should really be thinking about when they think about starting their own home.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
looking
Thank you
forward to
for the
visiting.
guidelines from Ananda, and Ananda is going to be one big rocking place that all of us are going to be
Looking
learning
forward.
from. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to do something with FFA, to collaborate with you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Bye.